Welcome to Bookwood. Hi, I'm glad you chose to spend some time with me. In this video, we will be going through my weeks 3 and 4 and the last 2 days, of course, of my Orilium month. And I have taken you outside with me since we have this beautiful misty weather, and I really like this spot to make this intro. So we will have a little bit of the noise of the highway that is behind these fields, and that with this weather just sounds through until even the center of the village. In this vlog, we will not only discuss the 4 books that I have read for my callings, but I will also show you some images of what we have been doing that won't be very much, because these 2 weeks are in this are themed around the Walloon National Day. So Belgium has its National Day on July 21st, and the regions also have their own day, and I don't know them all. I know the Dutch have it on July 11th. I know in Brussels it is called the Iris, like the flower days, but I don't know exactly when that is. And we celebrate Wallonia the 27th of September, and we tend to have festivities in the small towns, sometimes even the villages, and we participated of those in Anden. I also want to share with you my joy to be outside. I haven't been doing many walks lately because of this hip problem, but we might have, after 1 year, a small light at the end of the tunnel. They have found a diagnosis for the pain in my arms, which now maybe could be linked back to the pain in my hips. I will see my doctor at the end of October, and I hope that by New Year I will be able to walk normally again. For now, I had to slowly cut down on walks because it hurts too much, and I lose too much my how do you say that? My balance. So I am not in the woods. I am doing a walk that is not that heavy, and it's around fields, and it's only tractor roads. So it is still nature, and we have we walk alongside some bits of wood, so it's still very nice.
Va-t-il réussir son atterrissage? Ça n'est pas sûr. Oui, on touche les tactones.
Oui. I wondered if I should stand still to make a first book report, or if I would just take you on the walk with me. It's a while that we've done that, so let's go with that. The first book that I have read is Songlight, and it is by Moira Buffini. I read it for 2 prompts, but basically mainly for animal studies, for the debut novel, since it's her first book. But she has written TV shows and theater pieces, if I am not mistaken. This is a book that my husband bought for me. He came home with it one day, and he bought it because of the cover. Well, the cover is very beautiful. I'll try to insert a little clip of that. But what is also very special to it, it is the feeling. It is like very velvety. And I was a little bit worried because it's a YA book. And I tend to read less and less and enjoy those less as time goes by. But also it's dystopian and it promises romance. And yeah, the whole thing together, I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but hey, he bought it for me. It was there, it fitted, so I decided to give it a go. Well, now I am counting days until that book 2 comes out. Because that book blew me away. And I must admit that at the beginning of it, oh, these are nice. At the beginning of it, I have had the thought going through my mind, let's DNF this. It is absolutely not for me. And the reason that I bring this up is because it has to do with the many trigger warnings that this book brings along with it. In this dystopian world, and the more that the story goes on, the more that we start to understand that this is a human society that has emerged after ours collapsed. People have developed, or some people have developed, a power that is magical, so it does things, and that works also on a very telekinetic basis. So they can communicate over long distances, basically really meeting each other, having the idea to be in a place where they are not, whilst they are connected to another torch, they call them. And there is not much more I can tell you about this magic system, since it is quite vague. But also I think that we will go explore this more in the books that follow. Because the girl that we are going to meet, and we will be following, I think it's 4 characters along this book, turns out to be a torch. And she knows that this has to be a secret because, well, if this comes out, she will be taken away. And there will be 2 options. Or she submits to the government. And this means that she becomes a siren. And a siren is like a hunter for torches. So she will have to look for other people like her and denounce them. Or if she refuses or is seemed unfit to do that, she will be sent to a house that is called, in French, so I translate, the chrysalid. Basically the cocoon of a butterfly, the stage between caterpillar and butterfly. And they are like, they get a surgery and they take away the power they have. They take also away the whole personality, the emotions, but they also cut out their tongue, take away their uteruses if they're women, or make them eunuchs if they are men. And basically they are enslaved. So none of them really wants this to happen to them. Our main character will meet someone that will explain to her that there is a place where they can be free, respected for what they are. And turns out that this is the enemy of an almost endlessly ongoing war of the country we are starting the story in, with a neighboring country. They really want to suppress this country to have an access to resources, mainly food, since our civilization mainly destroyed the earth. And we will so follow their route to trying to find, first of all, in themselves who they are, to come clear with it, and then going to seek freedom. We will be following, I don't give names because names will change along the story, so they will get their birth name, and after that they will get a name that is put on them that is linked to their power, and most of them are birth names, but I guess that in English they are quite not the same. We will also follow the love interest in this story, so the girl's boyfriend. But things go very wrong because in this world love marriages are not accepted. Girls are married off to way older war veterans as some kind of prize, and we will also go through all that. But the guy we are following, well, he is also a torch. He will say that he is to save our main character's life, and we will follow him along in his journey to escape from the imprisonment and to escape from being sent to this facility that will turn him basically in a zombie slave. We will also follow the main character's brother, who is, as a boy, very early taken away from his family, sent into some boarding school and trained to be a soldier. And he's quite appreciated, especially when he's the one that will denounce and capture his best friend or his sister's boyfriend, which he's not aware of course. And we will follow his route, climbing up the ranks in the army, discovering that not all that has been said to him is true. And we will see how his mind changes and twists and turns, and how he tries to cope with the ideals that he hangs on very, very tightly because he grew up with them, and then the reality of things. He has a queer side to his character, and of course in a world that is as disastrous as this one, this is also not a good thing to be. The fourth character we follow is a girl also, and she has been found by the Inquisition, and one of these people from the council that found her has decided to pretend that she is normal, and he uses her, he canalizes her strength with a device, and he tries to make her help him arise to power. And we will see how she lives with all of that. Of course, they will meet at points. There will be a lot of things going on. And one of the reasons that I thought of the DNFing was on that this world is cruel. It really sends me back to the Second World War German time zone. And I didn't know if I wanted to read that. But of course, we will go and try to end this war, end this tyranny. And that's what we set off on in this first book. I read it in 2 days, 3 days. It's about 500 pages, which means that I didn't do much else than read, because I enjoyed it so much and I was very deep in this book. I breathed this book, I ate this book, I slept this book. So if you are looking for a very dark but touching dystopia romance, this book might be exactly the one you are looking for. The next book I read for my classes was Lady of Avalon by Marion Zimmer Bradley. And it is a sequel in the Avalon cycle books. In this book, we mainly have 3 shorter stories, not shorter novels, because it's still a 500-page book. And it is divided into these 3 parts, in which we will follow 3 different ladies of Avalon. We will start with Colleen, which is the first one going back to there after the events in the forest house. And we will go all the way to follow Vivian when she is still a girl and growing up and becoming a priestess. And in each of these stories, we will see how they try to shape the politics of Great Britain to keep their religion protected from the Romans. We will see how slowly the people of Britain will become one with the Roman people, and how other enemies, the Saxons and the Angles, show up and need to be chased away from the British Isles. And it is very difficult to really summarize this book. It is one that I enjoyed a lot of reading. In my memories as a teen, I preferred The Forest House, but as an adult, I prefer The Lady of Avalon. Let's see if we can make it move. This is a caterpillar. it looks, where is it here? So incredibly cute. Let's see if we can see the little feet. Please, camera, show us. Nope, we can't. Let's see, get it straight. Wow, we cannot see the little feet, but the animal itself, it's gorgeous. I also read Beyond the Horizon, or The World Beyond the Horizon by Angela Funk. It is a retelling, or at least based on Alice in Wonderland. And that's what attracted me to this book. It is a sci-fi-ish, romance-ish book that is very whimsical. We are in a world where we meet, and of course there we go again, it's names, right? A boy. And this boy, his world is flat, and it is crumbling down for now many, many years. And nobody knows exactly why this happens. But it is also quite a small world. And we meet him at his mother's birthday. He's a little bit angry because she decided to end her days a few months ago, and he is still in his mourning for her. And his cousin, that he didn't know the existence of, insisted not only on going out to dinner on that specific day, but also to meet up at his mother's gravesite. And when he comes to this graveyard, he sees a girl running, and she doesn't look like she is in the right place, and she looks very beautiful. So he calls out to her. It turns out that she is coming from another planet, which he finds hard to believe at first. And her planet is set on a course to collide with his planet in 2 months. And she takes a little bit pity of him, and she asks him to help her out with saving the planets. To do so, they will have to just go on the border of our main character's planet and jump off. At the moment that all this happens, his cousin and her fiancé arrive, and the boy is called Noah, and the girl, it's not in my head anymore. And somehow they decide to go along on this adventure. So Catalina, which is the cousin, she just follows along her cousin, because we really never ever really know. And her fiancé follows her with the firm conviction to protect her. So they run off, they jump off the planet, and they magically fall onto another one. We will learn that there is a black hole that they went through, and we will start to discover the very, very whimsical planet our main character comes from, and all the very strange habits, creatures that there are on this planet, and also the strangeness of the planet itself. I will not tell much more because it would give away many of the smaller things. It is not a book, to me it is a book on vibes. If I start thinking about it all, it makes absolutely no sense. It has no logical nothing, basically. It is just, we go forward, but then it's not slice of life. it is very Alice in Wonderland. This is the first book in a duology, so we will explore the planets of the girl. And we will do that because we need to find the ruler of the ocean, I think he's called, that might know how to save the world. And this will lead on to quite some adventures on the planet itself. And the story does not finish. It's a duology. And in the second book, I suppose we will have the rest of it. It really doesn't close off a part, which I think is great because now I want to read the second book. They are included in Kindle, which makes them available to everybody, and I think it is worth giving them a try. You need to like the completely whimsical, illogical things that do make sense while you read them, and to have the a little bit of imagination to be able to see what this world and his creatures look like. But to me, it was most certainly worth the read. So this maize field has been cut or harvested recently. And I am going to allow myself to pick up like 1 or 2 maize that hasn't been selected to be used. They leave them. They leave them also because it's food for the wild animals. So this is still part of the nature preservation that I live in. But our guinea pig will enjoy a lot eating this as well. So I will take her home one as a little harvest gift. So let's make their day. This is Kana and Mimi and Pompon. And they are our family's rodettes. They tend to redecorate their home often. It is Niklaus's job to take care of them because he wanted these animals. And it's Wednesday, so he knows what he's going to do this afternoon. But they are very, very sweet. I am back home from my walk and I had to switch pants since I went spontaneously on this walk and didn't put on my walking pants or my rain boots that I mostly wear just to avoid being completely wet, especially in this time of year. And before I do anything else, I will make some soup for my children. It's Wednesday, which means that we have only half a day of school and that we eat lunch at home. And since it is autumn, I make soup. And I have one book left to talk to you about because the walk I went on was a little bit short to get them all in. And I thought, well, let's talk about this last book whilst making this soup. So we are going to have broccoli soup. I'm not going to use this one. Since we had a lot of broccoli last week with HelloFresh, and these stems are, we don't eat them when we cook broccoli, but they are really great to make soup with. So let them not go to waste and be eaten anyways. Icky! So noise. That is the cat tribe. They have a cat room in that side of the house, which is also doubling up as playroom and laundry room. And since the cats are have to be chased back to the cat room, found all the way through the house when we leave on Wednesday, often they stay in the cat room until I get back home from the lunch trip taking kids from school. I cannot trust them to be in the house without me watching them with all the reptiles. They like to go up on some of the terraria, and especially the flexariums who have been made out of like this type of tissue that's used to make mosquito implants in windows to get no mosquitoes in. Mosquito shields, maybe? And they make holes in it. So they stay in the, never worry, it's quite big, and it has like the cat wall with all the things to walk on. So they're not unhappy, just they know I'm here. And since they know I am here, they want to be here. And most of the time there is one or two cats that are somewhere in the house, especially Azrael, who is Naoki's cat, who we know they do not go to the terraria. And they also know that some of them are not there. So they are being difficult. But it is the way it is. This one. So I'm going to be quite rough in chopping this up. So the book I need to tell you about is the last one I read. It is for a book of the color of my birth month flower, which is white. You can see that all the way back in my bullet journal setup and my TBR video. And I have picked for that Métaphysique des tubes by Amélie Nothomb. This book has been translated to English, and the title is something with rain. I'll edit it in somewhere. And in this book, we are going through an autobiography of Amélie Nothomb's early childhood, from her birth until she's 3. And as always, it is very interesting. So Amélie Nothomb, Belgian author, is the daughter of some Belgian diplomats, and she was born and raised for a while in Japan. And that is where we will have the setting of this book. It's all, we will spend 3 years of her life in Japan. And Amélie describes a babyhood that makes me wonder if this is purely, or if she has taken some facts, which is quite likely, and then made them into something. Because she tells that, like, for the first 2.5 years of her life, she didn't cry, didn't move. She was like the baby you put there, and then she just stays there. And she will describe the thoughts that she had during this time, and she will bring this to a metaphysical level, including spirituality, which is something that she often does in her books. And she will be thinking about what it is to be alive, and the choice of life. Like she says, I didn't choose to live, so I just was there. And I didn't move, I didn't do anything. And the story then will kick off when she's 2.5 and her father's mother comes to visit in Japan and makes her taste Belgian white chocolate. So we call it chocolate because we love it. But it is like cacao mass, cacao butter with a lot of sugar. It's not really chocolate. And that will give her the will to be alive, and we will following then her life until she's turns 3. Also, the connection with the divine is made because, as she says, I don't know, I'm not an expert in Japanese culture. She says, like, until a child is 3, they will be considered divine beings in Japan. Also, she tells us about other little details of the Japanese culture. Like at some point she almost drowns, and she will explain how in Japan people will not hurry up to save someone's life because the thankfulness, the gratefulness they have to feel for that act is way too big for a human being to bear, so they will just watch someone drown without interfering. I have no clue. If you know, let me know in the comments if this is true. And we will, as done, see how she sees life and how of her view of life shifts. I have with all the books of Amélie Nothomb, when I read them, I am really in the vibe of them. I like to compare them to Paulo Coelho's books like The Alchemist or The Pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela, since I have the same, they give me the same feeling of when you read this book, you're drawn into this maybe metaphysics, maybe a spiritual dimension, and it is like a kind of vibe that you're on, and then it's all very clear. And I have finished reading this book, and then I am like, okay. And the vibe is gone, and some of the comprehension of it all is gone as well. But I did enjoy reading this book a lot. It did make me think a lot about being alive. And like, I'm a mother of 5 kids, and it makes me really think like I have had them. So it's a long story how I got to 5 and everything. So I'm not gonna go into that, but I'm like, I put on this earth these 5 beings that didn't ask to be put on this earth, nor to grow up in our worldview, and still, like a newborn, just goes with the flow. And somewhere in this book, Amélie Nothomb questions that, as it's like, what if a newborn doesn't want to be alive? What would happen? And what would take it to make the conscious choice to live? And in how much then that would affect the way we are and we grow up. And that was quite an interesting point of view. So I still don't really know how I feel. Another point that she touches is, and it is done by how the baby comes to the conclusion that she's divine, and how this state of being divine is confirmed by the Japanese culture. That also questions what is the difference between the divine and being just human being. What makes you or something divine? What takes the divine out of something? Does this divine is just because of that due the kind of devotion that is given to that? And how would a divine being handle that? Because as a baby, she comes to the conclusion, I'm divine. And then she's like, when she, on her third birthday, for example, she turns 3 and she has these expectations. And it's translated as she turns to her sister with who she shares the bedroom. And she said like, well, I give you the honor to be the first, to have the immense honor to wish me a happy birthday, which her sister is like, oh, don't wake me up, happy birthday, and she's turned around and just goes back to sleep. And when she walks into the kitchen, the Japanese lady who is taking care of her, Nishio-san, sings down at her level and wishes her a happy birthday and has this like, in my eyes, maybe not extremely devotious reaction, but just how you would wish a happy birthday to a child. And she says like, oh, I am worshipped as I need to be by my nanny. And then she asks like, are we going to walk through the village so that everybody can wish me a happy birthday? Or will all those people come over here? And because she doesn't know, but the whole village should treat her as the deity that she thinks she is as a kid. And then the nanny goes like, well, no, it's summer, most of them are on vacation, but if it wasn't this time of year, we would have organized a whole festival for you. And then comes a reflection like, oh, I'm happy, because it must be tiring to be walking through there and accepting all these devotionless birthday wishes. And it is, it gives some very interesting points of thoughts. But then I will say, as I always say, I think that Amélie Nothomb is a very interesting author that everybody should give a go. So by that we have cut up broccoli and we have almost boiling water.